Today is May 16, 2023. The time is 6 p.m. This is the Hannah City Village Council meeting. For everybody, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May be seated. Perfect timing, Mr. Pearson.
We are all here?
We are all here for the first time. But it's the B-lot. Danny, I see you're online. Are you here just to listen again, sir? Danny Pearson?
You just observing, Danny?
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yes, I'm just here to view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Amanda?
Yes,
Did you want to address the board on anything?
I'm just here to see what I can do for community engagement with the Park District. What you guys expect and what the community wants, and see what I can do to make that.
So Amanda is Amanda George, right?
Yes.
She's a representative for the Hannah City Park District. She's just here to observe and see what she can do for the park board.
Any ideas?
We'll probably discuss what we discussed last night during my portion, or unless you guys want to do that now.
Are you planning to stay for the whole meeting?
I can say.
Okay.
So we keep it to the end.
So we're in.
I tend to be long-winded.
Ryan's water report. Well, you've already had 2 inside jokes. The Foghat reference earlier. She said she's looking for a band for Hannah City Days.
Yeah. I said fuck it. She said okay. I don't think they are.
Really?
Yeah.
If they're still touring, you can probably get them.
Hopefully cheap.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're within the budget if they're still.
Everybody should have a copy of the May 2nd, 2023 council meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes.
After a thorough examination, somewhere.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Sidak. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Miss Cassandra.
Pretty short list this week.
Oh, it was really short. I didn't get writer's cramp.
I know.
You like that?
Fine with me.
Like stuff coming in, not going out. I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report and pay all the outstanding bills.
I have a motion by Chair Volley,
Second.
second by Weaver. Any further discussion?
Man, that's short.
A roll call. Weaver,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Chair Volley,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
or Sidak,
Yes. Totally different outfits too.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Nothing, Nathaniel?
That's all I've got.
Brandon will not be joining us tonight.
The only thing I'll add is that we looked up the new rates for the IEPA loan will be available June 1st and finalized and published July 1st. So apparently there's something happening between June 1st and July 1st, but she said it's rare that they change. So at that point, we should know what the forgiveness models look like and what the new rates look like.
I'll just do this under engineering since it's IEPA. We had some discrepancies from the IEPA, and Brian drafted a letter, which things we're already doing, which is trying to get the tower replaced, and what was the other one?
The
Ionization.
Well, there's the NAP plan, they call it, Nitrification Action Plan, which we're working on.
What was the discrepancy?
It was the NAP plan not being finalized and the tower. That was it.
Oh, so they just had comments on it.
Yeah, there was no formal.
Oh, look at anything different than what they. Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha.
Brings us down to the attorney's report. Miss Abby.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Wow, this
Look
may
at us
be
go.
this may be a short meeting. Until Zach talks.
Brian hasn't had a chance to vote.
Yeah.
This is a double sided.
Administrative report. All right, we're gonna go. This is year-end financials. So this our fiscal year ended at the end of April. I want to spend more time on the cash than I do on the actual P&L statement because really at the end of the year, the cash is the most important thing. The P&L just tells us what we should be doing as we go along throughout the year to manage our dollars. If you remember last year when we had a lot of transactions that we wanted to have done, but they carried into the new year. When they carried into the new year, now I had to explain every month. So this year we got them all done at the end of the year. So here's the year-end transaction. So we took $155,688 from Trail Capital to help pay off the IEPA loan. We took $102,081 and emptied out the IEPA checking account to pay off the IEPA loan. So that's paid off. We took $40,000 from Seward checking and moved it to Seward Capital. If we have excess money now, before it really didn't matter if it sat in checking or if it sat in savings, but with the money we're getting back on the Illinois funds, if we've got excess money, we need to be moving it into the Illinois funds to get as much as we can. So we moved that $40,000 back because it was within. If there's tax dollars, you can't move it out of the department that it's taxed for. So since it was sewer to sewer, there was no problem. We also had an excess amount in garbage, and we just moved that to sewer capital as well in order to set us up for this sewer plan that we're going to try to do like we do the road plan. We also consolidated sanitation and sewer. We got rid of account 54 sanitation, just combined it all into sewer, and then we've got subcategories under sewer for sanitation. So this way I can explain these transactions once this month, and I don't have to explain them every month for the next year.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So for April core funds, I adjusted this. I took out all the transactions that I just talked about. I took those out to show how we actually performed for the month. We had income of $113,576, expenses of $104,499. So we were positive $9,077. If you put the bonus money back in, we would have been positive right around $26,000, something like that. But we paid the bonuses out of the excess in this month. Then if you look at the next slide, you can see each of the individual areas. And again, without the bonuses, general would have been whatever, around 20 grand, something like that. But again, everything was positive. April MFT, we had income. We actually had negative expenses.
Someone got pulled up.
That was probably just an adjustment.
Oh.
TIF, the next slide, we had very little income, but we had $1,200 worth of expenses, which is the Jacob and Klein dollars that comes in quarterly. Next slide is BDD. I don't know why the sales tax and the BDD tax was down this month. All the other taxes, income was up. For some reason, the sales tax was down and the BDD tax was down. Normally, we're around 10 to 12. Monthly summary, really, there's not a lot there. We were positive $9,000. Would have been more without the unbudgeted bonuses. MFT was positive. TIF was negative. BDD was positive. Then if you look at year-to-date core funds, these are not adjusted. So this has all of the transfers and everything in it. So the numbers are skewed. So the income's skewed by the transfers. The expenses are skewed by the transfers. The key number is the 295,368. That's what the P&L shows we actually made. Income over expense, we were 295,368 to the positive for the year. That number would be sound because it averages out all of the transfers. So that's good, 295,368 for the year. Then the next slide, again, the numbers are skewed because of all the transfers and everything. But I just left it as is. MFT, we ended the year with about $8,500 to the good. We didn't do the sidewalk work that we were looking at doing. That's part of the reason that we ended up with a surplus. But that ended up good. TIF, yay, we were positive for the first time, $1,644, so we don't have to borrow money from any place else to cover TIF, so that's great. BDD, positive 162,320. That'll change this year because that's the basis for the programs that we're going to run. So year-to-date summary, we're positive 295,368. If you take out the $168,000 that we moved from operations to savings for the capital, that'd be 168,000 off to 295, so that would put us at about 127,368 positive for the year. So you take out the capital and we're 127 positive. MFT was positive, TIF is positive, BDD is positive. All is well. Then the next slide, if you look at the checking, this shows then we ended with 719,377 in checking. We had the monthly variance, we were down 162, and again, we paid off, we closed the IEPA loan, so we took 102,081 out of there and paid it off, and then we had $65,000 of transfer to sewer capital that I talked about earlier, plus the bonus payments. So that's why we were down, and in year-to-date variance, we were positive 89,159. Savings, we were at $1,024,276. We were down for the month for the same reasons I talked about. And the year-to-date variance, almost $100,000 to the good. So our total cash at the end of the year was $1,743,653. But if you add into that the $257,803 loan amount, we would have finished the year at $2 million, a little over $2 million, $2,1,456 in cash. Hold on to that number a second, at $2 million. Then go to this sheet. If you look at the cash sheet, if you go down at the very bottom, you look at the year end. We ended last year, our total cash was $1,558,156.76. You see that number? Remember the $2,001,000 number? So that's where we ended this year, not counting the loan that we paid off, the $257 that we paid off in the loan. So we increased our cash by almost 28.5% for the year, which is good, but we paid off the loan, so that brings that number down. And then the number I always tell you to watch, if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, that 32,796.26, I think I projected we would finish the year at $111,000 of operational cash positive. We actually would have finished around 115, if not for the $65,000 we transferred from checking to savings for the sewer capital, and then the bonus payments pulled out of that surplus as well. So we ended up around $98,000 in operational cash surplus. So if you look down the column, there's everything in orange is money that we moved. So we took $12,000 out of general and moved it to water to bolster it because it was low. We took the $40,000 out of sewer and moved it down to the savings. We took $25,000 out of garbage, moved it down to savings. That 102,080 was part of the loan payment. The next one down in the savings, that 155,60888 was also the other part of the loan payment. And then the capital, that 66,592.63, that was the money we moved, the 65 that we moved from up top down into sewer capital.
That's not a normal trend, is it? I mean, 2021 and 20 to 21, 22. Did you have anything like that?
The cash increase?
Yeah.
We were definitely cash positive. Well, and what we did at the end of last year is we bought the skid steer. We spent about $100,000 or maybe a little bit less at the end of last year that we invested. But we weren't nearly as good as we were this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good work, whoever that's owed to. A little bit of you, a little bit of
No,
Cassandra.
there's a lot. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things to make that happen. A lot of staff doing, being more efficient, finding ways to find money. So it's good stuff. But each year it's going to get tougher, right? Because this year we made the budget a little bit tougher. We increased the amount of money we're moving to capital, and so we're going to continue to make it harder to outperform, I guess. But that's good.
Any questions, any concerns?
You just have to keep in mind everything you're improving at the same time.
Yeah. I think
You might be moving cash too.
I think the key message is I think we've spent some money on some things in the last couple of years, but we're starting to see return on those dollars and efficiency on those dollars. And
It might not be to the eye of the public, but
yeah,
but it is.
I mean, we wind up doing a sewer plan. We put $65,000 into that, and if we can reline the sewers over the next 5 years,
You think $75,000 a year on that?
yeah, that's what we're projecting.
Cool.
So that would be $54,000 that we're putting away in capital, plus we'd be pulling from the amount, like $20,000 from the savings that we've got. And I projected out that would carry us 8 years and $600,000. I don't know if that quite gets it all done, but
That's what I was wondering. That was my next question.
It would
You
get
think
us
it's
close.
a 10-year thing? That 75 would
it's
pop?
8 years. It would be 8 years. But again, if we wind up having to do the tower and we have to move down the amount of the sewer capital, that would change that. Or if we figure out other ways to be efficient, there may be other ways to increase that amount. But at least we got we're starting. We're on a path. We can do 2,000 to 2,500 linear feet a year for the next several years and to see where we wind up. And Jim's working on those details now.
Yeah, and then you'll be better prepared for 20 years from now when it's time to do it again.
Yeah.
Do we know how long it's been since any of that lining's been done?
Well, we did do you remember if we did the half of it? It was before me, so it's got to be at least 3 years.
Over 10 now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
How long
Because I moved into my house on Beacon Lane about 10 years ago, and it had already been done before that.
So how long does that last?
A long time.
Yeah, I mean, because it's basically a plastic lining they put on them.
Yeah. It'd be,
How many times can you do that?
I don't know if you can line a liner or not.
Brandon said you could.
Until it's too
just
skinny.
getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, eventually you just get smaller pipes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's real thick lining though, is it?
No, not super thick.
I mean, a few videos I've seen of the process done, it's pretty
Yeah.
impressive, really. It's incredible how it works. But
Well, they can do even more now since we did ours. I mean, they can line laterals. I mean, they can do everything. I mean,
it's a lot
Jim
cheaper
says
to
they're
replace.
just now starting to talk about lining water lines.
yeah, I heard him mention that. I did not know they could do that.
It's only that big anyway.
You want your fresh water running through lead or plastic or what do you want? Pick your poison. We got clay, we got it all.
I mean, our capital in this year's budget, we put 168,000 away this year. Next year we're, I think, 198. We went up to 198,000 this year. So
I know.
good stuff.
Good work, people.
On the committee reports. Mr. Travali.
Oh, I got nothing. Kind of report for me.
Yeah, you mentioned last week the audit. Is that next week?
That's
Second week of the 22nd.
Holy smokes!
I'm already getting. They sent me a bunch of stuff to get ready for them, so I'm working on that now.
Here we go. Fun time.
Cassandra taking the lead on that this year.
She is.
I'm working on it.
She's gonna beat people.
You go, girl.
Planning and zoning, Mr. Johnson.
End of report.
Good work.
Sanitary sewer, Mr. Pearson.
Nothing on sanitary sewer.
Mr. Pearson, water.
Really, the only thing, I mean, he's already mentioned the silver lining program, the EPA stuff. Jim was looking at another leak detection place. Now, what would make this different?
So apparently there's a new technology that they use, some sort of electro, I don't know. They heard about it at a fair. When a guy from the IEPA was here, he mentioned it. We could never find it. Jim found it yesterday or today.
Okay.
And we don't know how much it costs. We don't know what their success rate is, but it's a different technology. It uses electricity somehow to find leaks than just using the sound.
I was gonna say our acoustic, that's dead now. We can't really.
Yeah.
We're not gonna find anything that way.
Okay.
Interesting. We got another person join it.
Now I've got some numbers for you.
Okay, go ahead with your numbers.
Okay. We got 25 shutoffs at $5,558.92. 0 level pay. 5 foreclosures at $475.15. And approximate gallons sold, 2,127,428.
A few of you know this, and I'm not going to give any specifics or names at this point, but we did have a problem with one shut-off person, and I had to call the sheriff's department. This last week, they were in the office here getting aggressive and making threats. And so, if you want to know more on that, I can tell you later, but I don't want to do that publicly.
We're taking the proper precautions next time.
Yeah.
End of report.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Can you just one?
I am.
Okay. Buildings and ground, Mr. Weaver.
Nothing to report there.
Streets and alleys, Mr. Weaver.
Looks like the MFT oil and chip is tentatively scheduled for July. Prep work in June.
Spray patching with Farmington's help. This is year 3 of the 5-year program, so that's all I have.
Thank you, Ron.
This is where the meeting came to a screeching halt.
Community economic and development, Mr. Sire.
All right, so we get a couple different things, some stuff not on the agenda. Real quick, do you guys remember getting those little pamphlets in the mail right after the election from Miller Hall and Triggs about this municipal law seminar?
He's got one sitting right there.
Yeah, I actually went to that. They gave me this handy dandy little municipal law book that I'll probably just leave here. It was a really informative seminar. I attended stuff about developments in labor. It was kind of cool because it was just a room full of lawyers telling me stuff for free, which almost never happens. So they told me stuff about developments in labor law, dealing with homelessness and vagrancy, which I know isn't really a problem here, but spoiler, there's really not a lot you can legally do to deter homelessness. Yeah. And highlight of the seminar is I talked with Darren LaHood about steps we can take. Apparently, the federal government is really looking into expanding broadband for rural communities. And so there's apparently some money going to the state. He advised me to start working with the state, see if there's any sort of help we can get from them about maybe subsidizing our mid-century fiber lines. So that was that. That was fun.
The only problem is he's not our representative.
Right. But he told me who to talk to from the state. Then
While we're on that topic, I will tell you we met with Mid-Century
Today.
and we've targeted 2 areas, one in Caleb's neighborhood and one in Fred Winteroff's neighborhood. And we're going to ask those guys to become advocates and go. We've outlined which homes to go to. They're going to be given a percentage of the number of homes they need to get signed up in order for it to trigger the build financials. And they're going to give them iPads so that they can go and talk to people and get them, signed up and everything right there. So we're going to try this approach and see if we can get these 2 little highlighted areas done. One of them's Pekin Lane and over here in where Fred lives. The other's Murphy and I don't know what other. Is it just Murphy?
What's the one west of you?
Carol?
Is it Carroll?
Carol.
Yeah.
I think it's those two streets, about halfway back.
That makes sense.
Only about 28 homes in the area.
Need to be signed up?
Well, that's the
there'll
whole
be a
area.
percentage of that.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's about all of them.
They're coming to community night, and we're going to talk there.
And they'll have iPads at the community night where if people want to sign up, get registered, they can do that. So
I'll discuss my commission with them.
Yeah.
same as mine.
You're not doing the door-to-door
0%,
knocking, you don't get anything.
0% of
Flat deck up here doesn't get to
100,000
know.
is still zero. Anyway, sorry.
And then last night I attended the Park District's monthly meeting and met Amanda over here. Did you want to talk
Real
to
quick,
Andy?
is Adam's with the Park District too, right?
Adam is now the vice president, or the president,
Okay.
Really?
as of last night.
Oh,
So Adam's
Adam after
online
I
now.
left.
Yes. Welcome, Adam.
How you doing?
Thanks for coming.
So we sort of talked about some projects that maybe the village could help with. I made it clear that with our new redevelopment program, we don't quite have the money to be throwing around like we used to. But there were two projects brought up that I really wanted to run in that I think would be great little things that we could help with. Firstly, do we own the sidewalk and the road that the parking is on next to the community center?
I believe so.
Next to the flagpole? Okay. They're talking about putting down some striping for parking spaces and then putting in a new handicap spot. It's a great
Not them doing it, us doing it.
us doing it.
No, you're talking about us funding it.
Right, so we own that, we own the road, which is considered the parking lot.
I guess I'm
Right
not
there
sure
in
exactly.
front, right down here on,
Oh, you're talking about just what street is that? Is that
it's
Main?
Main,
Yeah, where you can pull in and park right there. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's ours.
okay. Because they would like to
Just have that
have a
stripe.
stripe.
Striped. And then they, David Keithley specifically mentioned putting in a new handicap spot next to the door.
We still have $50 fine on there.
And then also there was another one, they talked about getting water run out to the park, the actual park green there, maybe getting a spigot so that way they don't have to tap into the fire hydrant. You know, get one of our guys to open it up for them every time. Am I doing this justice?
Or we've been borrowing from the neighbors. We do have, because I'd like to have water days in there in the summer.
Mhm.
It's like we could have balloon fights, or we have 2 big water slides. So if I could get water over there, so I could at least have community events there, that would be great. Some way, somehow with that.
Yeah, I think what we would need to do is formalize those requests, right? Maybe even have some quotes or something, and Jim, we can help you with getting the quotes done, and tell you who to talk to on the striping and stuff. But we just need a formal request. We can talk about that offline, about how to do that. And the striping's probably less than, it's only probably a couple $100. There's not a lot there to stripe.
Is
I don't
that
know
meant
about.
by an ADA spot is striping it or making an actual ADA spot?
Well, I don't know the answer to
Because
that. Is it already an ADA spot there?
There's supposedly one at the end by the daycare side, that's at the very end by the pole, but it's not very well marked.
I almost pulled into it.
Then we also would like one closer to the fitness center building, so like by the gym and stuff.
Because there's a difference between putting down the stripes and actually making it an ADA compliant spot, satisfying all the requirements.
Right. Yeah, I guess what we would need is, like, again, if you all could formalize what you want, where you want it, and then we could work on what some of the costs would look like, so we know exactly what kind of money we're talking about. Then we'd have something to consider and look at options of what's the best way to help fund it.
Perfect, yeah.
And then, of course, they mentioned that the roof is still an issue that needs to be fixed. Okay, back to the stuff that's actually on the agenda.
We gave a bunch of money for that.
Yeah, I
And I gave them back.
I'd like to make it a 365-day facility.
Obviously, it seems like you guys are making changes, though. Seems like you kept getting some steam rolling and got pulled back by something, but you guys new people, new president. So you guys
Um,
expect to see some actual traction rolling now.
We're hoping that new squat. Brad will. get
Fitness
it in
center looks good.
the new
Are you guys
floor.
still looking at getting a loan for some of the stuff that you're doing in the building or no?
I believe so. I know it's in the works. We're just working it out. Megan was our grant girl, our financials, so she wasn't there really, or she wasn't there last night, so we weren't talking as much about that, but those were things that have been on the docket, I guess, for before I was even on the board, so.
You guys only meet once a month?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
And
Make that gym
Sure.
365 days a year.
I
So
think-
basically air condition it and get the roof fixed because that's the engine of the car right there.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of the main focus right now as far as the loan goes. That's kind of my take on it is the main focus is just on the building and getting the roof repaired, getting the air conditioning, couple doors that need to be replaced, not doing so good. Other than that, that's kind of our main focus right now.
The one thing I would tell you, and again, it doesn't mean that, it's not like it's first come, first served, but now that we've been putting some money out into the community on some projects, people have noticed. And so the inquiries are increasing. I've got a couple more this week already of people looking for some assistance and stuff. And again, we'd love to help the park district, but I know eventually we're going to find ourselves in a place where at one point we had all the funding in the world and the next we've got it allocated. So.
Right. So our redevelopment projects are already bearing fruit. Hog Trough, Honeggers, and Gills and Warehouse have already gone through their projects. I don't know if Clark Sidek and I were up at the warehouse today, and she noticed that they've already got a bright new fresh coat of paint on there. So stuff's getting done. Places are looking nice around town. So mission accomplished. We have a new residential grant. Brian has said in his notes that this would use up the rest of our residential grant money. So if we approve this tonight, the whole application should be in front of you. It looks pretty thorough. They've got receipts and estimates and a plan all laid forth. I think the grand total. What would the grand total on this be?
It was like $3,400 or something like that was the total of the project. No, $3,785.08. But we don't have enough money to do a full 75%. I think the amount we would actually grant would be somewhat less than that. It'd be like $2,200, but it would exhaust. It would put us. We'd be spending the rest of the $25,000 that we've got available, assuming all the other projects come in right at their amount. I think some of them are probably going to come in a little bit lower. And if they come in higher, we don't spend anymore because we're only giving what we had committed to give.
But does this need to go to the CDC yet?
We did it. We talked by email, and I'm working, and so they're okay with this, moving forward with this. We're working on what rules, and I'm working with Abby on whether or not we need to follow the Open Meetings Act rules and so forth. But I've sent this to them via email, and there's support from the CEDC on this. And we don't have any other applications residential at this point. We had 3 or 4 that fell through because they didn't get their second quotes or they just stopped connecting with us or whatever.
Is this on that side of the highway?
Yeah, it's right down past the coffee can all the way down on the left. It's a really nice, well-kept home as it is.
Okay.
So he would have to get a second quote for some of this stuff, or
Yeah, probably. We would, if we said we would move forward, I'd ask him to.
so I think he's got one quote for each thing, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be dependent on that.
Correct.
Which he shouldn't have a problem with, except I don't know.
Another person doing
And I mean, by the looks of this, it looks like they already bought the materials for it. So,
And,
Like
that, and that's the
something
point.
that's
They're going to
already
do the work one way or the other. He's going to do the work. So, but
well, I'll make a motion that we approve of this application on the condition that they obtain secondary quotes for everything, it looks like.
I think they haven't already bought.
They gotta buy it.
Second.
A motion by Sidak. Second by Charvali. Any further discussion? And we'll roll call it. Miller,
Yeah.
Pearson,
Yes.
Charvali,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Motion carried. Hold on 1 second there.
He's here for the fire department stuff.
Oh, okay.
Jake, you're here for the fire department votes, right?
Jake, can you hear us? Oh, there you
Yes, sorry. I was having technical difficulties.
go. Okay. Go ahead, Zach, sorry.
We have gotten in touch with Zanes, and they're interested, but as Ryan was telling us earlier, they've yet to come up and sign anything. I don't know. Is everything agreed to on the terms that we proposed?
Yeah, I mean, he's been sent the contract and everything. I guess at this point, they've said that they're still interested. I don't know. They know all the things that they have to do, the building permit, site plan, all those types of things. I don't know if they're waiting to make a final decision or whatever. I guess where I'm at is, it's a great project and we'd love to do it, but I know I'm going to get one from Heritage Homes coming in. We're talking about stuff with the Park District, Hannah City Tap. I'm going to be meeting with them on some things they want to do. So, and that one's approved, and if they come and sign it, we're off and running. But if we bring other ones forward and you like those, we're going to have to vote on those knowing that we may be approving them, and that means money might not be available for other things. So we just got to work through the numbers at the time. We may be able to do them all. I don't know. But everybody knows, resources are getting tighter. But the other thing is there's no sense in holding on to the money. I mean, it's there to make the community better, so we might as well be spending it to do so.
And we talked about the main purpose of curb appeal, right?
Yeah.
To our town.
Well, and the other thing is return, right? So Zanes is going to, that's another bay. That's an increased, revenue both on the property tax and on the sales side. So
that's one of the first few businesses you see on your way into town from that way, anyway.
And then the other thing is as soon as the Hannah City Tap's back up and running, well, that's retail, that's gambling. So there's money there.
All right, full disclosure, Brian, I don't know how to read this.
No problem. So I just wanted to, this is more of just an FYI. So every year, and I'm trying to get them to get it to us ahead of time so I can base the budget off of it. But basically all this shows is their current estimates of what we're going to be bringing in TIF dollars next year and BDD dollars next year. And then it goes down and they've got the money that we'd be putting back out. So they've got Zanes in there because they helped us develop it. But if we don't do Zanes, that $15,000 doesn't go anywhere. That surplus distribution, I think, is that's the 80% of the residential. And of that, if you go all the way down, we get 48.56 of that built back in, and the rest of it goes to the other folks. They build in the residential and commercial grant programs for next year, the estimated fees that we pay them to help us. It just gives you an idea of, if we did all of these things next year, we would end the year with 19 and 17, so a little under $40,000 left over. But that doesn't count the fact that we've already got 200 and some in the, what's the cash thing says in BDD? And BDD's got 234 in it already, and TIF's got roughly 16,000 in it, so we'd be adding 40,000 to those dollars, even though we did all these projects from this year's budget. I guess is the point of it. So this is just an FYI.
All right, that is the end of my report.
Finally.
Thank you, Mr. Sidak. Mr. Miller.
Well, I got an email from you that I'm confused about.
From me?
It's
'Cause I'm gonna- I was
the
gonna
sheriff's involved. This is something about side by sides. I can't tell if it's an individual incident.
Oh, no, we
Some
had
dude named Tyler, which I'm pretty sure I knew who they're talking about.
We had
Right.
two
We have two
issues.
habitual offenders that continuously, people know who they are and have said stuff to us about them driving through village on their side-by-sides. So we talked to the sheriff's department and had them go out and let them know. There will be no more warnings. Fines will be imposed.
There's a name here, but
Yeah.
I will say this,
there's about 150 of them that go through town, so I don't know how they could single out one individual, but they must. Well, the one guy I know, he's been a problem. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, he's been a problem for years.
yeah, this wasn't a, we didn't, in my view, we weren't trying to put our thumb on anybody. We just wanted to do a little friendly reminder before we went anywhere further. And it's developed some positive feedback because one of the individuals has reached out to me and said that they'd like to know what's the process for getting them legalized. And I said I'd be happy to meet with you and talk with you about that and tell you what you should do and how you could come to present that to the board and so forth. So doesn't mean it will happen, but it's worth the discussion.
I just didn't really know what that.
Is there a reason you guys haven't approached that in the past? A specific reason other than
It was.
safety?
It was actually.
Because golf carts are legal.
Yeah.
But once we make them legal road units in our town, right? Can't Peoria County treat it that they treat it just like a road vehicle at that point?
Well, it would be legal inside town. They could ride them.
So they can only go down 116. Can't go down 116. You can only cross at 90 degree. So
Technically, today the side-by-sides are illegal to run anywhere in town.
Right.
Yeah.
And mini bikes.
But at this point, do we have any power to find them?
Sure, we can write them a letter.
Yeah, our code. It would be a code violation.
Yeah,
they're illegal everywhere.
Some communities, though.
Some communities.
Some communities have approved it.
Country, they're illegal right on the road.
Did Knox County make them legal on county roads all over the county? I think.
I know those.
Maybe some of them are.
I think Knox County actually, because
SMB.
yeah, I think Knox County actually made it so you can take them on township roads and stuff around the county. I think, yeah.
Was one of the main reasons.
The other big fear is, and again, not that the golf carts, but they're faster and there's more desire and an increased use of them on 116, which is dangerous, and there's a liability issue if somebody does get hurt. Where what the golf carts are basically, you can cross 116, but you can't run up and down 116. But they probably wouldn't do that anyway because they're so slow.
Yeah.
But the risk of the others getting on 116 and rolling up and down, that might's already happening. I've seen them go down and get gas.
That's the way Canton is. You can ride side by sides all over Canton.
Yep, they do legal in
but you
town.
can't go on 78 or 9.
Yep.
You can cross it, but not down.
Exactly.
But for me, the discussions around how many people want them legalized, right? If it's 2 people or 25
I'm
people.
trying to think. I don't think anybody. I think when we opened this up to discussion at meeting, I don't think anybody showed up to even talk.
No.
And that's always a downer for me when somebody wants something put on the agenda to get it passed, whether it was the chickens or side by sides or anything, and none of them show up. Me personally, as a board member, I don't think anybody cares that much about it. That's usually an auto no for me, no matter how I feel about it. Because if you don't care enough to show up to the meeting, then why do I care about it?
So how many people want them? Are they willing to commit to getting them inspected and, getting paying the permit and doing all that stuff? Because what's the value of us legalizing them and then they ignore that?
Because not every side by side you own to be legal. It's not going to have lights.
Well, you got people coming from out of town. People that live in Tri-Void that bring back roads that they're not going to register everything in the city.
Yeah, but then I guess they're subject to a ticket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but who's going to enforce that?
Well, it's the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the
Can
people
you get them
that,
to keep cars on control on Murphy Road? Speeding, how are they gonna take care of the silence?
I mean, what I have noticed with them is if we do give them a point of emphasis, they respond. So if there is an issue on Murphy Road, let me know that, and I'm happy to have a conversation with them.
The speed's everywhere. Murphy
When they make
Road,
them straight, they're just basically
Blacktop.
cars. So I don't.
Right, that's what.
That's why. Only reason I'm asking.
Most places you gotta have insurance. You gotta have insurance, car, turn signals.
They ain't no more dangerous than my 110-year-old neighbor pulling out his truck. You know.
Do or don't do. Yeah, right.
Insurance,
Right.
you know. terms
I
and
can
conditions.
remember
Yeah,
back in the '80s in Missouri, these dudes went flying by on 4-wheelers, and I was like,
With license plates. In Missouri, you can get license plates
there was
for
a
'em.
cop sitting right down the road.
Yep.
I'm like, how are you getting with that?
Yep.
And it was some hillbilly kid. He flipped up a license plate. It was a car license plate. He said, as long as you have a license plate on it, you can ride wherever you want.
Yep.
And that was in like 1988.
Oh yeah, that's where my family's from. And we would go down there and visit. You ride them anywhere you want to, but they all had license. They all paid into the road fund for the state with the license plate. So yeah,
I guess you're right. If there's only one or two people that want it, maybe it's not. If they want to come up here and make it a big deal, sure. But
And if they're committed to getting them inspected and doing all the right things and all that kind of stuff, I mean, there has to be give and take. And now if you talk to our insurance company, they don't even want us to do the golf carts, right?
yeah.
They make them all illegal because it's just risk.
will they let us do them?
Oh, yeah.
Because they can tell us no.
well,
Basically,
they increase our rates probably
It's almost more a county thing, though. I mean, because it's such a.
for liability.
sometimes they just tell you
Not for us. I mean, we have our own ordinances, so the county can't
If we
make
had
them
our own
legal.
cops, though, that'd be one like Kansas got their own cops. They run around and can regulate them all the time.
Yep.
I see side by sides. They're everywhere.
It's way easier in a town like Canton because you have your own police force out all the time and watching, and
Right.
so somebody gets out of control, they're not going to last very long.
Yeah. They treat you just like a car.
Lewiston they don't have their own, do they?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Lewiston's got.
Yeah, they got their own deal.
It's just that's a slippery slope. That whole.
Well, and we've had the whole debate about, do we want a dedicated? We've got a we've got a sheriff or deputy that
Security
lives
guard.
right here in town. We
hire
can
him.
have, if we're willing to pay for it, we could have a fully dedicated Curry County sheriff right here in town. It's about more than double what we're currently paying.
Yeah.
But,
You can do whatever you want. I mean, Medina Township at one time, because they have a lot of subdivisions up in the townships, and they had weekend bike patrol they pay for, dedicated deputy that was at every single meeting that's out there, and then was primarily his patrol zone. I mean, I forget what they pay a year. I think they've cut back a little bit. It's many times more than we pay because they wanted that much of a presence. I mean,
West
it was
Peoria is the same way. Talked with Mayor Dillon quite a few times down in West Peoria. And they have Peoria County
yeah.
down there, and they wanted to do some specialized patrols and things like that, and he's like, it was quite a bit more that they're paying because they're asking for this officer to be there.
Yeah. Well, that's what Watkins said. Ours stays cheap because it's X amount of hours a month.
Right.
He doesn't have to make sure, Monday 8 to 5 and these times he can get it all in 2 weeks technically, if he wanted to. They kind of spread it out, but we don't have any special requirements. So they can get it, whenever they want to. So they don't have to put somebody on patrol a certain time or anything.
Right. Lieutenant can assign as.
But we start getting very specific on times, then it's going to go way out.
Right. And they're lenient with that when it comes to public safety, like when we have the school bus issues and things like that. On 116, they
They
didn't.
went whole hog. They got a big sign. I mean, they rode the bus. I mean, yeah, they went above and beyond what we pay them for sure.
We didn't pay them any extra for that. They had extra officers out during morning and afternoon.
They rode the bus. They hopped on the bus that goes a couple days, and
They have to have the signs up on 116.
Yeah, well, you don't have a police department. You're reactive. You're not proactive.
Yeah, well, and that's the other point, right? If we had our own, the other thing we talked about, if we have our own dedicated officer, then it's not just all punitive, right?
Yeah.
Now they're building relationships in town, and they're right having conversations with people and those types of things, which building relationships, and it's a whole lot better. But like I said, I can't remember, but I know it's maybe almost triple.
A lot.
yeah.
That's a slippery slope too. They get
Too good a relationships.
They get. I don't know how I want to word this.
Complacent.
Power hungry?
Start nitpicking and really hammering the town folks for every little thing. Yeah, sure. When you got somebody right there breathing down your neck all the time.
Well, and that's the other, this is a tangential topic, but we haven't done a whole lot on code enforcement either, and we're starting to ramp that up and starting to feel some of the pain and pushback of that. I think it's a good thing. We've given a lot of grace, but there's things we can do to make the town look nicer and cleaner and within the code. So.
Yeah, well, it don't make sense to give this person money to put new siding on their house when the next house is falling apart and the grass is 3 feet tall.
That's what
There's 4 cars.
We
in the
don't
front yard,
pursue the.
upside down.
Yeah.
That's actually what we put in the letter. We've got economic development stuff going on. We're spending money to make the town look good, and so therefore we need to raise the level of
Expectations.
Yeah, and that's different, right? Because I think to some degree, some folks are used. They feel like they're living in the country and they're used to.
There's towns that fine you for your yard light being out. I mean, we're not that crazy.
The complaints we got years ago about this stuff was, why am I taking so much time to maintain my place if you guys don't enforce the ordinances on your books on my neighbor's places? You let his grass get 2 feet tall, nobody says anything. The windows are falling in. Why am I spending so much time? You guys have the order. Either get rid of them completely, don't care about it, let us all know, or start enforcing them.
Well, that's the other point is we really don't have a code enforcement officer. I mean, technically, I guess it's me with Tracy's help. We built that into her role. She helps me with the letters and all the communication.
We did send one out notification today. We're sending out a $200 fine.
But that's after our so
Many
publicly
warnings.
people hear that's after 2 warnings and informal conversations and just a continued repeat of. And then, but the other thing, we were seeing positive stuff because down on Elbert, there's a house that's been in disrepair for a long time. And we've been talking to them and working with them. And I finally got to the point where I'm like, I'm going to have to fine you. Well, they came in and got their permit to demo the property. So they're taking the house out. So we're making some progress,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think people have a legitimate argument when they say, well, how come you haven't ever done this stuff in the past? I know you don't think they do because you holler at me because you say, well, the rules are the rules, and you're right. But we've been trying to ease into a higher level of accountability.
Well, before I hired you, and it just basically went through me, like, do we find these people? I always told them, never the first time. Let them lie to us once. And then the second time, do it. We never ever find anybody the first time, ever for anything.
Yeah.
Always let the first one go by and treat it as an honest mistake. And then,
You do the same thing on the utility payments is when people are, there's people who legitimately have a problem and they can't pay. But when people start to abuse that, you know what I mean? And it becomes a habitual thing. That's when.
Every single month it's the same.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse. It's like,
Someone robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Like, this cannot have happened in 9 months in a row.
Huh?
No.
Well, you want us to move on? Moving on.
Longest administration report.
He still hasn't told me the numbers out.
Incidents. Mr. Miller.
What's that?
Number of incidents do you have?
Just 4. From 4:30 to 5:06. Nothing really.
Homicides.
There was.
All on Murphy complaining about their neighbors.
Emails like I was. I was like, I'm missing some. There was a one. I think I missed it last week or whatever. There's that dude on Carroll Street that attempted to light a house on fire.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like an outstanding prohibition.
That was the same guy, right? That came in here.
He's the guy that came in here with the letters that we owed him money.
Yeah. We've been working with the sheriff's department with him quite a bit. I think he's probably going to be
detained for a while.
He's scary.
Let's hope so.
He's kind of scary.
Anything else?
No, it's
just his threats.
Other business. The Hannah City Fire Department, or Logan Trevoli. Is it Logan Trevoli Fire Department, Adam? Or Jake, sorry.
Hannah City Volunteer Firemen's Corporation.
Hannah City. volunteer fire department. Would like to request to have road closure on June 3rd, 2023 from 4 p.m. to midnight.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Chair Volley, second by Sidak. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Jake, do you need the barriers and stuff from our road folks?
Normally they do.
Yes, for now, just to be on the safe side. I'm not sure exactly what we have.
Jake, normally they do.
Okay, I'll let Roger Orr is your contact. I'll let Roger know.
Okay, thank you.
Next item of business is the Ennis City Volunteer Fire Corporation would like to request a temporary liquor license so they can sell at their pork chop dinner.
There's a copy of that in that deck.
On June 3rd.
So moved.
And have the fee waived.
Second.
State that, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have their fee waived. So moved.
And have their be second.
We have a third.
Motion
gotta
by
pay-
Chair Volley, second.
Just gotta
by
pay double
Sidak.
next year.
Any further discussion? A lot of people on the board have been there. A lot of times we do this temporary license. And since they were trying to make money, there's no use in charging them for the liquor license. So in all the years that I've been on, we've always waived that expense for them since they're trying to earn money. So
Volunteer corporation there.
So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Village of Hannah City Community Night will be May 23rd. May 30th. Ooh, there's a zero. May 30th, and May 3rd's already passed. From 6 to 8 p.m. at the Sportsman's Club.
What time did you say that was?
6 p.m., 8 p.m. Mid-Century Fiber is going to be there.
It'll be in the back room. We're basically going to set up the tables and horseshoes, and we'll have a spot that says water and sewer, and you and Jim can sit there, in a spot that says, streets, and you and Roger will sit there, and finance, you and Cassandra can sit there, and people can come in. And
Yeah, I gotta sit with him.
Yep.
I'll put on extra deodorant.
Oh.
I invited any planning commission guys if they want to come. I invited anybody on the CEDC if they want to come. We've been getting a lot of feedback that sounds like there's a decent group of people considering coming. So
Torches or.
So we're gonna have. You said there's gonna be food too, right?
I heard there's finger food that'll be covered. Your drinks are on your own. But there is a group I think that's been meeting down at the Park District where they've been making signs, about the water rate increases. Down with Pearson, vote him out.
Tracy will be there.
Yeah, she will. She can handle it.
Yeah. July 4th is a Tuesday this year. Do we want to reschedule that in an off week, or do we just want to skip the meeting? If we skip it, we don't get paid for it.
Now that don't you get?
Okay,
You
you guys don't get paid for it.
You have a
It
wacky-
is counted as one of your two missed.
Doesn't matter where it was.
Well, you're in the new year.
And I did bring it up because I thought, don't you
Oh,
know
never
how
mind,
it
that's
is for July 4th?
As long as you don't think there's
But you
anything
would
you
have
need
been
passed in
here.
that time frame.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, she comes in
have to
later.
decide that
She
now.
comes in at noon.
Well, I know, but we're gonna
Not
pay her
necessarily, no.
holiday
I mean, I
pay,
guess
plus
we
we're
give
gonna
us a
pay her
general direction.
overtime
Yep.
for being here.
Make sure there's nothing
Salary,
important coming up. We need to
honey.
vote
The
on.
only thing I can think about is the
I tried.
the treasurer's report.
That
So we
was
have to
my
have
thing.
permission to go ahead and pay outstanding bills.
Can we do that at the meeting prior to that?
Well, why don't you just keep them under 500? I'll be in and I'll just sign it.
to a certain amount.
You know, I tried and I tried.
You can't just break every bill up in the $499
And I
increments.
don't care, I just.
No, I don't either. We can figure out a way to work around it. Skip this if we need to.
Canceled. Everybody.
So what's everybody else's consensus?
Cancel it.
That's fine as long as there's nothing like.
Well, if there's an emergency, we can always have an emergency meeting. We don't want.
Well, we
emergency
can-
Abby, if there was
Special
something
meeting.
emergent that we needed to vote on, we have to have a meeting to do that? Get everybody together?
No. The water tower falls over. You're
Well,
allowed
we
to just do it
could.
early.
I would say yes, probably.
We could pay it and then approve it at the next board meeting if it's an emergency payment.
We've done that.
Well, yeah, we do that.
All the
Rarely
time.
do we have a emergency happen on the day of the meeting that we can approve that night before.
So basically, that means we'd be going a month without a meeting.
What?
Oh, I'll get nice and late.
Yeah, we go from the end of the month to the end of the month, yeah.
And the only thing that I show that is that rate, finding out that rate is the June 1st rate on July 1st.
Cancel it now, you know it's coming, so then we just
It's not gonna mess.
we'll make amends in June, you know what I mean? We'll do the June meetings knowing that we're not gonna have that one if we need to.
It's not
Abby,
gonna
does
mess
that
with our
require
audit.
a vote? If we want to cancel the meeting, does that require a vote?
I'm not sure, but I would do one just in case. Well, it doesn't say vote on the agenda.
Tony can cancel, he's the mayor.
Can we table the topic to?
Nope.
Yeah, I will.
Tony can do it, he's the
I can
mayor.
put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Put on the agenda to cancel.
I can put it on the agenda for the next week.
Get it out.
Honestly, I'm not joking. I think you can call the meeting.
Well, there
All
wouldn't
just
be a
become sick.
quorum.
Well, how about this? 4 of us aren't showing up, so.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, we're
Yeah,
not
because
gonna
if
have a
we
quorum
don't show
anyway.
up, we don't have a quorum.
What I'll do is
Rod's going.
I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting to vote on canceling the July 4th meeting. I think all we have to do is make sure that we publicize it because we put out our schedule at the beginning of the year and it would be on it. We would just have to let the community know that we're not going to have a meeting that night. So 2 or 3 people actually pay.
When they try to zoom in,
We'll have a
everybody
quorum
sitting here.
anyway.
Danny, we may not meet that night.
If you don't have a quorum, you don't have a meeting
All
anyway.
right, sounds good.
If my truck's in my driveway, we're not having a meeting.
All we need to do is 4 of us say we're not gonna be there that night and it's canceled, because there's no quorum.
I think I feel cold.
I don't feel a cold coming out, I'm just not coming to it, 'cause it's 4th of July. Why would you lie about it?
There's no better day to be political.
It's not compulsory to be here, it's
I'll be here.
just.
I'm just gonna stand outside and salute
I'm
that
just reading.
Memorial.
time. You guys gotta show up.
Follow up on that. So, man, FOIA training reminder.
Done.
I gotta do that?
Sent you guys an email here at the office and you didn't
Yeah.
respond to things.
No, you should have done it.
Which
Okay,
browser
it
did
should
you
be done.
use? Yeah.
Did you do it when
See, and I used
I think
Edge
so.
and it wouldn't.
because it wasn't a
I
thing.
wouldn't even
when I-
show up, I sent you a
mine
screen
did.
I
Yeah,
got.
I got the same one.
Can you just?
I completed all my stuff like a good boy, that was like free.
Mine did the same thing.
You send it to what they do.
I'll send it to you.
And send it to him too.
Send it to me too. I thought I've already done it, but I just want to make sure.
Send it to me too.
You know what? Everybody gets it again.
No, I did.
You get it.
I can't believe you're the only one that did you do it?
I'm hoping that the state acknowledged I did it because my screen goes to an error every time
I
I
got
can't
the
get
same
my
thing.
certificate.
Eric
sent
doesn't
there.
even know.
Do you think the state
The 90
knows
days
whether or
of
not
being
you
elected or appointed, you have
It's
to
on the site. I mean, it's an
complete
electronic
that
test.
training.
the village hand is?
And I said,
It's okay.
somebody's gonna have to help here.
They don't know if
Figure
they're
out how to
If there's
log
a
in.
time that you can come up here, I can set you up on a laptop and help you with it. Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just click through the stuff and say yes.
Yeah, just basically click through the stuff and hey.
The hardest part was just registering. And I haven't gotten any farther.
All right, next.
Any further discussion to come before the board? Our next board meeting is June 6th, 2023, 6 p.m. Adjourn.
Remember, we won't meet July 4th, it's canceled.
Hey, Abby, you're working on the whether or not the CEDC needs to have. Okay, I just
Yeah.
don't hurry. It's not urgent.
Yeah, I should have an answer to you either by the end of this week or next week.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night.
Okay, my question is.